Welcome back, Devils fans, and we can breathe for the moment. The New Jersey Devils open up the West Coast road trip in San Jose with a dominant 7-2 victory. And wow, it feels good. Feels good to get back in the win column in such a dominant fashion, staying up super late to watch the whole game and to be rewarded by this club with an outstanding effort, thumping the Sharks 7-2. And it was one of those nights where we were not going to be denied. We were not going to be denied. We had some scary moments early on in the game, but we found a way to win. I will say I am not going to get ahead of myself. We still have a lot of work ahead of us. We are nowhere near celebrating this win or anything outside of exactly what it is, and it's a win that kept us alive. The Flyers and the Red Wings both won today, so it seems as though maybe the Tampa Bay Lightning may be the team that wants to give us their wild card spot, and maybe it won't be the third place in the Metro Division. Who knows? But either way, this team is desperate for wins, desperate for points, and we started off the road trip the way we absolutely needed to with a dominant victory over an absolutely atrocious San Jose Sharks team. And first period, Mackenzie Blackwood. I made a joke earlier today in the podcast episode 5 that Mac Black would be out for revenge, and in that first period, it seemed like he was going to have the game of his life. We were buzzing on a power play. He was getting all sorts of traffic, shots from every angle, and he was getting everything. He sniffed out I forget who passed it, but we kind of had a 2-on-1, and Bratt was waiting to crank one, and he kind of knew right away, like he cheated over a little bit and got there. Great chance, came up with the save, and I thought he was going to just snake bite us all night and kind of ruin our season. Luckily, I hate to be this way, he left the game with an injury. I'm not really sure what happened, and Kakinen got completely lit up by the boys tonight. But we'll just take a look at the scoring. First period, the Devils cannot get on the board. Sturm at 18-17 with a little tip shot right in front of the net gives the Sharks a 1-0 lead. And while it was kind of discouraging, and that is now the 43rd time in our 59 games played, we've surrendered the first goal. I repeat, the 43rd time in 59 games played that we surrendered the first goal, meaning we've scored first 16 times in 59 games this season. That is an atrocious stat that needs to change. We can't keep playing catch up and coming from behind. It's just not conducive to being a winning hockey club. But whatever, it didn't matter tonight. But a very bizarre stat that continues on for the season. We're just giving up the first goal nearly every game. Sturm gives them the 1-0 lead late in the first, and that's how the period ended. We head to the second, and now I was still a little nervous, but I was very optimistic because I thought that we dominated the first period, and let's be honest, this Sharks team is god awful. They are so bad that it's a great team to play when you need a slump buster, right? I mean, we just at points of the game we were sloppy as well, but at points of the game we looked so dominant. And it's honestly hard to gauge how much of it is just because the Sharks are absolutely atrocious, like an all-time bad team in the history of the league, and the Devils playing better. I think it was a combination of the both, but I do think a lot of it had to do with the fact that the Sharks are just a terrible hockey team. My heart goes out to their fans. I don't know how, I'm going to look up the attendance later. I saw like full empty sections and rows there on TV, but I mean, I can't personally drag myself to to games for a team that's that far in the toilet where you're not even getting competitive games. I mean, at least some of the Devils teams in years past that finished horribly on the year, they were at least competitive within games and lost close games, or at least kept it competitive for a while. The Sharks are absolute trash. It is. My heart goes out to their fans. It's really painful. You had your run with your superstars with Thornton and Marlowe, and now they're just a trash team, and I don't know if it's going to get any better. But anyway, Devils look good for long stretches of the game. Again, in part because the Sharks are trash. Second period, Jesperbratt at 3:29 from Timo and Nico ties it up at 1. And folks, dare I say, Timo Meier on the right side, looking like a new player, a man revitalized, a man reborn, a man on a mission. Timo on the right side is a force. And again, one game, I know, Timo showed out tonight. He was all over the place. And when he's used properly on the right side with better line mates, as I've said for a long time now, he is a better player. I don't know why it took so long for us to use him in the way he was used in San Jose, where he had some great seasons. But the fact remains, for whatever reason, he was stranded on the left side, a shell of his former self. And tonight we saw flashes. He was on the right side a lot of different points tonight. Bratt from Timo and Nico at 3:29 ties it up at 1. And then about 40 seconds later at 4:06, Jackie Boy in all alone, off to the races. 5-hole, thank you. 2-1 lead. Jack Hughes really needed that. And give us the lead, alleviated the pressure a little bit because we were getting a little sloppy at points. 2-1 lead. And then at 13:08, Kevin Ball finds wide open ice all the time in the world, just winds one up, and as Kenny Danico said, tickled the rafters with his windup and just blasts one. An absolute bomb from Ball. When you have that kind of time and space and you're a big man like Kevin Ball with a little bit of a cannon behind you, blasted that thing through a thing of beauty. Kevin Ball, what a bomb. A Ball bomb gives the Devils from Nico and Mr. Jack Hughes, gives the Devils the 3-1 lead. And now at this intermission, I'm like, okay, we're going to win this game. I'm very confident in that because the Sharks are so bad. I was texting in one of my Devils friends group chats, and I was like, I want 6-1 minimum. I want a 6-piece. Well, we head to the third, and the boys delivered. At 2:41, Colin Miller from Nico and Timo giving us the 4-1 lead. And 2.5 minutes later at 5:01, Brendan Smith from Palat and Tierney giving us the 5-1 lead. And then a little under 2 minutes later, 6:57, Dawson Mercer from Jack Hughes and Marino giving the Devils the 6-1 lead. And exactly 1 minute later at 7:57, El Capitan, Nico Hischier, giving the Devils a 7-1 lead from Bratt and Siegenthaler. And after he scored that goal, as he released the shot, Ahutuk, I can't pronounce his name, I'm going to butcher it. But former New Jersey Devil Nikita Ahutuk, or however you say his name, crushed Nico. It was kind of a cheap thing, I think, to do. Nico was a little banged up on the play. But I was very upset that we did not see any sort of retaliation later in the game. With such a lead in the game, that to me is the quintessential situation where we are now up big in the game. The game is in hand. We have the win. You just did something dirty, so now we are coming eye for an eye, motherfucker. We are coming for you. We didn't do anything. Very sad to see. And again, it's the trademark signature type stuff of a very soft and pathetic team. With that kind of lead, someone had to go after him. I don't care if you jumped him, cross-checked him in the back of the head later in the game, maybe even, get a game misconduct. I don't give a shit. When someone hits a guy, and especially a guy like Nico Hischier, in a situation like that, you have to take liberties and get some revenge. We did nothing, and it's very sad. And that's where, a guy like Rempe I talked about earlier on the podcast, episode 5, that I do think every team could use a player like that or someone of his ilk to take care of these situations when they arise. And when you're blowing a team out, obviously frustrations are going to boil and people are going to do cheap shit. And Ahutuk decked Nico right as he released a shot for the 7th goal of the game for the Devils, and no one did shit about it. It's upsetting, and it's just not good. It's just not a good look, and things need to change. We need some grit. We need a guy that's going to make people answer the bell and maybe put some fear into the opponents in their head. We have no one that anyone in the league is afraid of right now, and that's a problem, and you do cheap shit like that. As a piggyback to that, Ahoytuk, or however you say this guy's name, he, to me, is the guy that got away in the Timo deal. He was hitting every single thing in sight all night. He was in everyone's face hitting all night, and he's exactly the type of defenseman I would love to see the Devils obtain now. We have no one like him. Had we still had him on the team today, he would be our nastiest, grittiest defenseman by leaps and bounds. We don't have anybody who's remotely at his level. He may have thrown more hits tonight than the entire New Jersey Devils team did the entire game against Tampa Bay. We'll check out the stats later. Sometimes hit stats are hard to find. But, yeah, he's the one that got away. But whatever. Scumbag move. He took a cheap shot at Nico, and someone should have broke his kneecaps. But hopefully we get a little bit tougher as the season goes on. And we'll take a look at the stars of the game. The third star from the Devils, with a goal and an assist, number 63, Jesperbratt. And the second star, also from the Devils, with a goal and 2 assists, number 86, Jackhughes. And the first star, also from the Devils, with a goal and 3 assists, number 13, Nico Hischier. Or as Pecan, as PK Subban would say, Nico Hischier, with a 4-point night. El Capitan with the C on his chest comes out big in San Jose, 4-point night. And it's great to see everybody, get a little piece of the scoring action tonight. It's unfortunate that Timo Meier also had a power play goal disallowed because of the offside. That was a quintessential Timo Meier San Jose goal. On the right side, on the power play, just waiting. Puck comes to him, rips it through the goalie. Power forward goal. Disallowed because of an offside challenge, unfortunately. And I honestly hate the offside video review nonsense. We've seen countless plays, and it's every team, I'm sure, but countless goals being disallowed because a guy is a hair offside where it literally has no impact on the play whatsoever, but it's like a bullshit technicality. I hate it. I don't think, I don't know how you get around it. I think maybe, if it's not an egregious offsides, it shouldn't matter. If the refs and the linesman can't catch it in real time, then it wasn't that much offside and it didn't affect the play. I don't know. A lot of people are like, oh, I like it, but I do think it's morphed into something it wasn't meant to be. And we see tons of goals that, again, the offside had nothing to do with the goal being scored, but because they were a hair off, it gets wiped off the board, and it kind of sucks. I feel like we've had tons of them taken off the board from us for being offside, and we've also had a bunch taken off the board because the other team was offside. But, I don't know. I think it's maybe overusage or abuse of technology and review, but whatever. That's a different topic for another day. But 3 defensemen getting on the scoreboard. 3 defensemen and none of the usual suspects. What if I had told you this morning that in tonight's game, Brendan Smith, Kevin Ball, and Colin Miller were all going to notch goals in San Jose tonight? You would have told me I was a raving lunatic and I should stop drinking in the daytime, is probably what most of you would have told me. But that is not a fantasy. That is reality. Super depth defensive scoring tonight from this team. Kevin Ball with his first of the season on an absolute bomb. And if you give that man space and time, he's gonna rip it. And that was just a beautiful shot from Kevin Ball. Hopefully we see some more of those down the stretch. But now, guys, we're just getting into the thick of it here. We have a long way to go. We are nowhere near out of the weeds. Don't take my happiness and giddiness for, me being delusional or anything like that. I know exactly what this win was. This was an absolute must win against an all-time horrific team, and we did what we had to do. I'm glad we did it in very convincing fashion. Hopefully, this gives the boys some, warm and fuzzies and good feelings heading on into the next game. But we just need to keep it up. We need to keep it up and hopefully finish off this West Coast trip with 2 more wins. And, at that point, who knows what could happen, right? I mean, they've showed nothing since the Stadium Series, but tonight, hopefully, is a springboard of better play to come. And so, it's just one of those nights. Everything kind of went our way, and that's what happens when you play a decent game and you play a completely shitty team. Let's look at, before I head out here, the game stats. Devils with 44 shots on goal to the Sharks 31. Devils winning the faceoff battle 54.7% to 45.3. Devils 0 for 2 on the power play, and the Sharks 0 for 1. The Devils, again, 6 hits. 6 hits? That's 1 hit every 10 minutes. How is that? That's just like 1 hit every 10 minutes in an NHL hockey game is just, I just don't, I wonder when the deep analytics stat department and the coaches and everybody looks at these things, how they don't look at this and they're not like completely just disturbed by 6 hits. Maybe we got to start putting bounties up, in the locker room. Maybe it's like, I don't know what kind of money you got to put on the board. In NFL locker rooms, there's a lot of bounties and the numbers get pretty big. But maybe, maybe they have a little slush fund where it's like $1,000 or a couple $1,000 a hit. Something. 6 hits is pathetic. The Sharks only had 13, and I honestly thought our boy Nikita Hischier would have had that many or more himself. But Devils losing the hits battle as usual. 6 for the Devils, 13 for the Sharks. Devils with 11 block shots, Sharks with 14. Devils with 7 giveaways, the Sharks with 8 giveaways, and the Devils with 10 takeaways, and the Sharks with 9 takeaways. And, some of these stats are fairly close. I thought watching the game that we were way more dominant than what you might think by just looking at the game stats. But beautiful win for the New Jersey Devils. Completely necessary to stay alive with the Wings and Flyers both winning. Yeah, like I said, maybe Tampa Bay is the one that wants to give us their second wild card spot. We'd be more than happy to take it from you boys. We would love to slide into that wild card spot or the third in the Metro. I'm not going to get picky. However we got to get in there, I'm happy to just take somebody's spot. But let me know what you guys thought about the game in the comments. An exciting one. Lots of scoring for the boys. Lots of good feelings. And Timo, on the right side, has proven to be a dramatically improved player from when we had him stranded on the left for whatever reason. Again, we saw a lot of weird line combinations throughout the night. I would personally like to see a trial of Jesperbratt, Jack Hughes, Timo Meier. I think that could be an absolutely phenomenal line. As we all know, peanut butter and jelly when together is completely lethal. And I think Timo being on his natural right side with players like them who have great speed, great vision, great everything, I think Timo could really thrive. I'd be very curious to see if we could try that out at some point. But Timo needs to stay on the right. And that's pretty much all I got for you guys. Exciting night. I'm jazzed up. I got to go watch all the post-game and all that stuff. Finish up a couple of my floating beverages over there. But let me know about the game. Let me know what you think's coming up on the West Coast. Anything else. But yeah, hopefully, is it possible if we get these next 2 wins that Fitz's hand is kind of forced to make a deal before the deadline? Or is Fitz just done? I'm convinced he's just playing pocket pool somewhere in the press box and, happy with staying the course. And the window will be open soon. The future is bright. I'm tired of hearing that shit. I'm hoping the boys string together a bunch of wins and kind of put his back against the wall to where he feels he has to be a buyer. Also, rumors coming out that I think it was James Nichols that reported that the Devils are trying to extend to Foley. I would love to see us do the little trick I had mentioned in a previous video where if it does come down to it closer to the deadline and it looks like it's going to be a rough a long shot for us to make the playoffs, where we sell him off for like a first or something with the predetermined agreement that we're going to re-sign him in the summer. That'd be phenomenal as well. But I also, my main preference would be for us to make a run at the playoffs this year with Toffoli. But if somehow we fall out of it that badly by the deadline, I would love to see a move like that, little trickeration. But let me know what you guys think in the comments about all this. Toffoli, yada yada. Are we still going for a goalie? And anything else, anything and everything, Devils, throw it out in the comments. Respect to all the rest of you who stayed up late to watch this. It was an absolute beautiful massacre by our boys tonight. We were rewarded for staying up late night crew. Keep the eyes open. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.